Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're looking into a company that's, well, it's been making some noise, hasn't it? NioCorp Developments.
Definitely seeing a lot of chatter around them. Critical mineral space.
Exactly. And the big question, the one we're tackling today, is this. Is NioCorp Developments a good time to buy now?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the billion-dollar question, given the potential project scale.
Huh. Could be. Now, before we get into the weeds, just a quick reminder. If you find these discussions useful, please do hit subscribe, maybe give us a like.
And leave a comment. It really does help.
It does. And hey, if there's a company you want us to look into next, just drop the name below. We always appreciate the suggestions.
We do read them.
Okay. So, NioCorp. It's sitting at this really interesting point. You've got this huge strategic need for these minerals.
Right. National security, EVs, all that.
But then you've got the hard, cold economics of actually digging them up and, building a mine.
It's a tough business. Very capital intensive.
So we've pulled together the key info, financials, market stuff, what's coming up to help you sort through it. Our goal here is just to lay out the facts from our sources.
Yeah, look at their numbers, where they stand competitively, any potential triggers. Give you a clear picture of the risk and reward.
Because this isn't your standard company, is it? No established revenue streams right now.
Not at all. It changes the whole analysis. It's less about Q3 earnings from sales and more about, well, geopolitics, future potential, project execution.
A bet on a strategic shift, almost.
You could see it that way. A bet on the U.S. wanting its own supply. But, and this is the big but, that desire doesn't automatically make it a great investment.
Let's get into that. So, NioCorp, what's the core idea here? What are they actually trying to do at Elk Creek?
Okay, so think of them as a developer, not a producer yet. They're pre-production.
Right, building phase.
Exactly. They're focused on getting critical minerals, niobium, scandium, and titanium out of their Elk Creek project in Nebraska.
Nebraska. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically a pure play on the U.S. wanting and needing its own supply of these specific minerals, which, as you know, is a huge strategic focus right now.
So no minerals being sold yet. They're constructing the capability. That's a really key difference from, say, an existing miner.
Absolutely fundamental. It means their current value isn't based on profits or market share today.
It's all future potential tied to that one project.
Precisely. It's a huge engineering and financing challenge ahead of them. Sets up a unique risk profile.
Okay, let's pivot from that big picture to the numbers, the financials. Because for a company like this, the story the numbers tell can be, well, pretty stark.
Stark is a good word. What jumps out immediately is, well, no meaningful revenue.
Zero.
For the trailing 12 months as of September 2025, essentially zero from operations, which makes sense. They're not selling anything yet.
Okay.
And during that same time, a net loss of $16.3 million, EPS, negative 0.36.
So burning cash.
Consistently. It's all going into exploration, getting permits, general expenses for the project, with nothing coming in the door yet from selling minerals, all future investment.
Classic development stage. Totally reliant on outside money then? How are they funding this burn? Cash position. Debt.
Well, they've been busy raising money, which is, vital. They pulled in about $60.7 million over the last 3 months.
Okay, so significant.
Yeah, mostly institutional investors.
Sure.
Included a big $45 million public offering back in July 2025.
So that helps the immediate cash situation.
Definitely improves liquidity short term. But, and this is crucial, everyone expects their cash flow to stay negative, operationally anyway.
Because they have to spend huge amounts on building the project.
Exactly. Massive capital spending ahead. So they need continuous external financing to get Elk Creek built.
Which brings up the D word, dilution.
Bingo. That's the big question for anyone holding the stock or thinking about it. How many more shares will they need to issue? How uncertain is that future funding?
And when we say dilution, it's not just a small thing potentially, is it?
Yeah.
For a project this size, if they need hundreds of millions more.
Oh, yeah. Every time they sell new shares, your slice of the pie gets smaller.
Right.
If they need, let's say, another $500 million and the stock's at $5, that's another 100 million shares hitting the market. That's significant dilution.
And is that common for these big mining builds, like 50% dilution or more?
It's definitely not uncommon over the life of the development. You often see multiple funding rounds tied to hitting construction milestones or maybe covering cost overruns, which happen.
Frequently, I imagine.
Or maybe debt just gets too expensive. So yeah, it's a built-in risk for these long, expensive projects.
Okay, so a tough financial picture dependent on future funding.
Yeah.
How do they stack up competitively then? What makes them stand out, and what are those big risks tied to the model?
Well, their uniqueness comes from that focus U.S.-based critical minerals, that specific combo of niobium, scandium, titanium,
All from one spot.
all from Elk Creek, Nebraska. Plus, they've got key federal permits already, which is a big hurdle cleared,
That helps.
and a big land position. They've also done a positive feasibility study. That's, the detailed engineering and economic check that says, yes, this should work and make money.
Should be the operative word.
Exactly. Because the execution risk is still, well, it's very high. Getting the money, actually building it on time, on budget, making the tech work at scale.
You mentioned high risk. That feels like an understatement for building a billion-dollar facility in, well, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
What usually trips companies up at this stage? Is it the geology changes, permits, or just the sheer cost?
You're right. It's incredibly complex. Usually, once you have the feasibility study and the main permits, the monsters under the bed become what I call the 3 Cs. Capital, construction, and commissioning.
Okay.
Getting all the money lined up, hundreds of millions, maybe over $1 billion, that's often the first killer hurdle.
Make or break.
Then actually building the thing. Managing contractors, supply chains, avoiding massive cost blowouts, staying on schedule, it's a beast.
I can only imagine.
And finally, commissioning. Just getting the plant running smoothly, hitting the recovery rates you planned for. That has its own set of technical headaches. So yeah, lots of places to stumble before you sell your first pound of niobium.
Even with government interest,
Yeah.
how real is that support? Does it actually translate to cash or just encouraging words?
That's a great question. Government support is helpful, definitely. It can help with early stuff, maybe grants, faster permits, but it rarely means they'll write the whole check for construction.
Right.
We've seen projects with lots of government buzz still struggle to get the big private investment needed or struggle to compete on price later. For you, the investor, you need to see if that support turns into actual loan guarantees or, ideally, firm offtake agreements.
Offtake, so pre-sold product.
Exactly. And globally, they're up against giants. Brazil dominates niobium. Scandium's a smaller, fragmented market. Titanium's more common, but purity matters. So NioCorp needs to compete not just on made in USA, but on cost and quality, too.
Okay, a complex picture. Vision versus reality. Let's look at the stock itself. How has the market been reacting to all this? What's the ticker showing?
Well, the market's certainly been paying attention. On September 15th, the stock traded between $4.76 and $5.33.
Okay.
But look at the 52-week range. It's huge. Went from $1.27 way up to that $5.33 high.
Wow, that screams volatility.
Absolutely. And what's really eye-catching is it quadrupled from that annual low. Quadrupled. That's some serious momentum.
A four-bagger from the low. That definitely gets people talking. What about the trend now? Key levels to watch.
Right now, it's trading above its moving averages, both short and long term. Generally a positive sign, technically. Suggests the uptrend is still intact, at least for the short term.
Okay. Support. Resistance.
We're seeing support, kind of a base, forming around $4.50 to $4.75. Resistance is pretty clear at that recent high, $5.33.
And what's been driving this run-up?
It looks like a mix of things. That recent financing, the $45 million raise, definitely helped.
So cash in the bank.
Exactly. Plus, getting added to those indexes, the Russell 3000, MSCI USA, that forces index funds to buy.
Ah, the index inclusion effect. Automatic buyers.
Yeah, creates demand. And it just general positive news flow around critical minerals, government support, that whole narrative. It all feeds into the momentum.
Right. Momentum needs fuel. What specific news items have been hitting the wires, and what are the analysts saying?
Well, the big news was closing that $45 million offering in July. Management immediately said they'd use it to speed up pre-construction work at Elk Creek.
Putting the money to work.
Right. Then the index additions in June, Russell 3000, MSCI USA. Like we said, that increases visibility, brings in institutional money.
Passive funds have to buy it.
Yep. There was also the CEO talking on Fox Business about a $10 million DoD award for scandium supply chain work.
Defense Department interest. That fits the strategic angle.
Exactly. And other government designations highlighting niobium and some of the rare earths they might recover as critical. It all reinforces that national importance story.
Okay. So news sounds positive. What about the analysts? Are they all on board with strong buys?
This is where it gets really interesting. There are 2 analysts covering it, and they both rated a strong buy.
Okay.
So
okay.
Their average 12-month price target is $4.50.
Wait, $4.50? But it's trading higher than that now?
Exactly. Trading around $5 recently, and the target is $4.50. That's about 15% below the current price.
Huh. So strong buy rating, but the price target says it's maybe overvalued right now.
That's precisely the contradiction.
Yeah.
It suggests that while they like the long-term story, they think the stock price might have gotten a little ahead of itself in the near term. It's a major point for you to consider. Are you buying the story or the current valuation?
That's a critical disconnect.
Yeah.
Definitely something for people to chew on. Okay, what about upcoming events? What could move the stock next?
Well, the Q3 earnings release was scheduled for September 11th, so that data should be out, showing how they spent some of that new cash.
Any updates there are key.
Then there's an investor webcast set for September 24th. CEO, COO talking Elk Creek milestones. That could be significant.
Progress updates.
Yeah. Longer term, it's all about the big things. Securing full project financing, hitting development milestones at Elk Creek, and, continued U.S. government support actually turning into tangible benefits.
Any rumors? Always whispers around these kinds of stocks.
Our sources picked up a few interesting bits of speculation. Nothing confirmed, mind you.
Understood. Pure chatter.
Right. There's talk about potential deals, maybe partnerships with defense contractors for offtake agreements. Remember, those pre-sale deals.
It'll be huge. De-risks the revenue side.
Massively. Also, speculation that construction could start sooner than the official timeline, given the new cash and accelerated work.
Aggressive.
Maybe chatter about listing on a Canadian exchange, too, to reach more investors. And potentially some kind of processing or offtake deal with a major North American rare earths player, which could boost the value of the dysprosium and terbium they hope to recover.
Interesting possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try and wrap this all up. We've got the big vision, the tough financials, the volatile stock action, that weird analyst call. What does it all mean for someone asking, should I buy NioCorp now?
Yeah, pulling it all together.
Yeah.
It really is that classic high-risk, high-reward situation.
Okay.
The pros, you've got this unique asset, U.S. critical minerals, very strategic. They have raised cash recently, giving them runway. They have cleared major hurdles like permits and the feasibility study.
And the index inclusion helps liquidity.
Right. Those are real positives, things that make it different from just a pure exploration play.
But the cons are pretty heavy too, aren't they? Especially that analyst price target thing.
Absolutely. The cons are significant. Zero revenue, no profits in sight, burning cash constantly.
The whole thing hinges on successfully building one massive complex project.
100%. And that means huge execution risk, technically and financially. And for shareholders, the risk of dilution down the road is very real.
And that analyst contradiction. Strong buy, but target below current price. That just screams caution, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests the market's enthusiasm might be outpacing the fundamentals, at least according to those analysts.
So who is this for then? Based on everything we've discussed, who should even be considering NioCorp?
Based on our sources, it seems best suited for short-term traders who have a high tolerance for risk.
People playing the news?
Yeah, trading around catalysts, financing news, project updates, maybe those index moves, people comfortable with that high volatility.
And who should probably stay away?
It's likely not suitable for your traditional long-term buy-and-hold investor right now, not until they actually start generating revenue, show positive cash flow, prove they can execute.
Until the project risk comes way down.
Exactly. It's a bet on the future, a speculative play, not an investment in a proven operating business today. You need to be comfortable with that speculative nature.
So it really comes down to your personal risk tolerance and whether you believe they can navigate that incredibly difficult path from developer to producer. Immense potential, yes, but immense hurdles too.
That's the crux of it. Getting from blueprints to actual production is a long, expensive, and risky road. The strategic need for these minerals is undeniable, but...
But does that national need guarantee commercial success for this company against all those challenges?
That's the question you have to answer for yourself. Can they turn that strategic tailwind into a profitable reality? Time will tell.
Indeed. An insightful look, thank you. Hopefully this discussion on NioCorp developments, the potential, the risks, the catalysts, gives you a better framework for your own research.
Always do your own homework.
Absolutely. Until next time, stay informed and think critically.